The Xbox One X gets a steep price drop, and you know what? I think it might actually be worth picking up. And Nintendo Switch rumors are circulating once again about new hardware potentially coming from Nintendo when it comes to the Nintendo Switch family of systems. But this leak is actually coming from, well, it's coming from Nintendo themselves, and that's where things get very interesting. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So this current console generation has been very interesting for the Xbox brand, and probably not as successful as they would have wanted it to be, but I think Xbox did do some good things this console generation. Things like Xbox Game Pass. Like, you can't deny how great of a value something like Xbox Game Pass is. Of course, everyone is talking about the Xbox Series X, the upcoming system coming to us from Xbox coming this holiday season. Has a lot of people excited. We've seen a game running on it. We've seen what the system looks like, which is more than we can say for the PlayStation 5. So Xbox consumer relations are actually very good right now. But one thing that was interesting this console generation was just how many Xbox One systems we got, because actually we got 4 of them. You had the Xbox One VCR edition, that big clunky thing that was the first system to come out. Then we got the Xbox One S, a more premium system that was actually cheaper than what the Xbox One VCR was initially released for at. We then of course got the Xbox One X, which was the most powerful system on the market, and the Xbox One SAD edition, or the all digital edition, which we'll actually talk about and touch on later on in this video. But I thought it was very interesting that Microsoft introduced 4 systems into the Xbox economy when it came to the Xbox One system brands. But like I said, the Xbox One X was the most powerful system and still is the most powerful system on the marketplace. And now you can get it for pretty cheap. And honestly, I'm kind of considering getting one. So the Xbox One X is now available for just $299.99, which of course is a lot cheaper than the $500 it was released at. And it is still the premium system that is available on the marketplace. If you want things like the best resolutions, the best frame rates, you're looking at the Xbox One X to get those things on your home console. Of course, we saw amazing things that it does with original Xbox games or Xbox One games by adding in things like more textures, higher fidelity textures, better resolutions, and better frame rates. So you can really do a lot with the Xbox One X. But why would you want to buy an Xbox One X when the Xbox Series X is right around the corner? Well, what's interesting about that is you have to look at what Microsoft has said themselves about the Xbox Series X. For the first year or two, there are going to be no console exclusives from Microsoft for the Xbox Series X, meaning that everything that releases on the Xbox Series X will also have to work on the Xbox One family of systems. So if there's really that not incentive to get it on day one because of things like that, why would you not want to get something that's probably going to be about half the price of the system? Many people are expecting the Xbox Series X to be a $500 to $600 system, with a lot of people looking at the $600 price point because of the amount of technology in it. But if that $600 system isn't necessarily going to utilize that technology right out of the gate, why not get a cheaper system that's about $300 and pick up this system that will play all of the games on there and still play them very, very well? When it comes to things like teraflops and stuff, the Xbox One X is about half the strength of the Xbox Series X, but that's still very strong. It's stronger than the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's stronger than the standard PlayStation 4, and it of course is stronger than any other Xbox One console on the marketplace. I feel like you're gonna get a really good experience on the Xbox One X that probably will sort of rival what you're going to get on the Xbox Series X, at least in the initial time frame that Microsoft has said for the first year or two of the system. So I'm actually looking at buying an Xbox One X now that it is $300. Of course, used systems are going to be going for cheaper, probably $250 to $200. Around Black Friday, you'll probably see some really great deals on the Xbox One X as well. So why not pick up one of these systems if you're an Xbox fan, you have something like Game Pass, and you're looking for the best way to play these games? Now, what do you think about this though? Are you going to wait on getting the Xbox One X and just get the Xbox Series X and save your money? Or do you think that maybe I make a little sense here? Let me know in the comments down below. But now let's get into the Nintendo Switch madness, because there's lots of rumors, lots of theories speculating on around out there, and I want to talk about some of them and basically tell you guys what is going on in layman's terms. If you're looking for a technical analysis of things, you probably shouldn't watch this video. But basically, of course, the Nintendo Switch is a very successful system. People love the system. We, of course, have gotten a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo Switch Lite, and then we got a Nintendo Switch Revision that had a better battery life on the original Nintendo Switch model. One of the drawbacks of the Nintendo Switch Lite was, of course, the fact that that you cannot dock it to your television, but it of course made it a cheaper system. Now recently we got a brand new firmware update for the Nintendo Switch. It added things like new player icons for your, your character, your little profile that you have on there. You want to add a little Animal Crossing, you can do that. But one of the more important things, of course, was the fact that now you can remap buttons on your Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons or your Nintendo Switch Pro controller. There are still many third-party controllers that are not working with this update. It remains to be seen if Nintendo will sort of fix this, but I have heard that a lot of third-party controllers are not working with this. But still, it's cool that you could do something like that with your Joy-Cons or your Nintendo Switch Pro controller, because it adds things like accessibility options. Some people, of course, can't use both hands to play video games, so now they can actually play games with just one hand. So the sky's the limit with this. It's not something I'll personally use, as default controls more than likely work well enough for me with most games, but I do like the fact that now more people will have access to these games. But of course, everything is surface level when it comes to a Nintendo Switch firmware update, and data miners come along and look at the information, and this is where things get very, very interesting, because it looks like Nintendo may have leaked a brand new Nintendo Switch model within this firmware update. Now this information is coming to us from a data miner named Mike Heskin, and he basically looks around at the data and he found some very interesting things about this firmware update, because it's basically adding preliminary support for a brand new Nintendo Switch model labeled NX-ABCD. Now before the Nintendo Switch was known as the Nintendo Switch, it was known as the Nintendo NX, the code name for the system, which is something that Nintendo does with all their systems. The Ultra 64 of course became the Nintendo 64. So the Nintendo NX was something that people talked about. It was what we thought the Nintendo Switch name was going to be before Nintendo changed it to the Nintendo Switch. So the NX-ABCD is a brand new Nintendo Switch model that is for some reason being added into this firmware update. Other things include that 3 of the 5 new DRAM or dynamic random access memory profiles are for this NX-ABCD hardware type, and there's actually evidence of a secondary screen being used somehow and some way within this firmware update as well. So really there's 4 types of theories that are floating around out there about what this system could be, and I want to look at all 4 of these theories and just give you guys my thoughts on what I think about these theories. The first one is that this will be an all digital Nintendo Switch system, basically the standard Nintendo Switch minus a cartridge slot, which I think is ridiculous. Just looking at the video game landscape and how systems like that have performed. Looking at Nintendo Switch software sales, physical definitely dominates digital when it comes to first party titles. Animal Crossing of course is a bit of a rare oddity because of what's happening with real world situations, but more than likely most of the games that sell on the Nintendo Switch from first party are primarily physical when it comes to physical versus digital. So that really seems like a silly decision for Nintendo to make, but really all digital systems still don't have a place on the marketplace, I feel. You've seen things like the PSP Go and the Xbox One SAD edition like we talked about previously. The PSP Go of course did not have a UMD drive on it, and it really wasn't that much cheaper than a standard PSP, and it just sort of limited the amount of games you could play. Same thing with the Xbox One SAD. It was an all digital console that really wasn't much cheaper than an Xbox One S, and you could get more value out of your Xbox One S because it of course had a disc drive on it, so you could do things like buy used games and play used games. So I think an all digital Nintendo Switch model is very unlikely. It really doesn't make sense to me, and I wouldn't really see the benefit of it. Another thing that's being thrown around out there is a Nintendo Switch model that is basically sort of like PlayStation TV was, meaning that you could only play it on your television. Now that would actually be pretty interesting to me for a myriad of reasons. Obviously this would be a lot cheaper because you would not have something like a screen on it, so you could really cut down on the cost and be able to play your Nintendo Switch games, but you would only be able to play them on your TV. Nintendo already has an all portable system that you can play on your TV, so why not have a system that you play on your TV but is not portable as well? Now obviously a Nintendo Switch that you only can play docked and has no portable mode would have things like better resolutions and better frame rates like you see with a lot of games that are designed for the Nintendo Switch. When you play it in handheld mode, the resolution tends to drop. So would the Nintendo Switch Pro essentially be the Nintendo Switch TV model, considering the fact that you would be able to have things like better resolutions when you're playing your games in docked mode only? Or would it be a whole new Nintendo Switch system? Of course the Nintendo Switch Pro is something that has been rumored since 2018. People said it was coming out in 2019 and then it never did, and then people said it was coming out in 2020, and yeah, it's not really looking good for the Nintendo Switch Pro. So I don't think that a Nintendo Switch Pro is even in the cards right now. This is something that Spawnwave and I talked about back in like October of last year on the channel, just sort of looking at all the rumors circulating about the Nintendo Switch Pro. It really doesn't fit Nintendo's business model. Of course you did see something like the new 3DS XL that was a more powerful 3DS system, and it was good for what it was, but it didn't light the sales Nintendo's world on fire. People don't necessarily care about the most powerful system. If they did, the Xbox One X would be selling exponentially well and it wouldn't have a drastic price drop. But then of course you have the whole secondary display thing that was found in this data mine as well. So could it be a sort of Nintendo Switch 3DS hybrid or a Nintendo Switch DS hybrid, or even a Nintendo Switch Lite that you could potentially dock to your television, maybe some sort of apparatus. Now, something connecting to your Nintendo Switch Lite is probably not going to happen because the Nintendo Switch Lite does not have the same technology inside of it that a standard Nintendo Switch does. In order to get those higher resolutions that you would get when playing in docked mode, the Nintendo Switch Lite doesn't contain that sort of thing. That's one of the cost-cutting measures of the system. So unless a third-party company comes along and does something like that, and the games wouldn't really look all that great, I don't see that happening. But a Nintendo Switch 3DS system, like, that really doesn't make sense either, because why would they want to do something like that? Obviously, the whole dual screen thing was sort of a trend. It was a trend that lasted a while. It was a trend that a lot of people liked, but I don't necessarily think it was the greatest thing ever. Could this be something like where you connect your cell phone to your Nintendo Switch and then can use that as sort of a map or something like that? Maybe. I think really, though, what this is doing is just simply future-proofing. Obviously, when you look at the name of this Switch model, NX-ABCD, it's not like it has an actual name to it. It is just the standard Nintendo Switch prototype name, the NX, with ABCD in it. So if Nintendo wants to go in the future and do a Nintendo Switch update, either for more power or a TV-only system, they have the ability to do that. And of course, now it is embedded in the standard firmware of the system that we already have. Are we going to see any sort of announcement in 2020 about this system? I honestly really don't think so. And I honestly don't even think you're going to see it in 2021. A lot of people seem to be thinking that Nintendo is going to do something because of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X coming to the marketplace. But really, aside from first-party titles on those systems, I don't necessarily see third-party developers diving in head first and making all these awesome games that you can only play on these systems that for whatever reason aren't scalable. Some of the most powerful games like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and of course The Witcher 3 have been downscaled to fit on the Nintendo Switch, and they seem to be running fine on the system. So I don't really know quite what to make of this. I think Nintendo is simply just future-proofing things. I saw someone, I can't recall, on Twitter saying that Nintendo is trying to plan for people to use their stimulus checks in the United States so that they know, to use this check on the Nintendo Switch model that will be announced soon or something like that. It's like, what? Like, really? Like, I can't recall who said that, but that was the most bizarre thing I ever saw. Please use your stimulus checks to buy like food and pay bills and things like that. But as far as this Nintendo Switch new model is concerned, there probably is a new model being designed, but I wouldn't expect to see any real sort of concrete information on it anytime soon. All right, guys, and that is going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.